right, so welcome back. It is time for another one of our garden updates. So, as I said, this year I'm definitely starting a lot earlier. I mean, it's just the 4th of February, and we got a few weeks before we really get a lot of stuff into the ground. But we are definitely making some headway this year. So, as you know, we are working in the back, but I'm going to show you what we've gotten done in the front. So as you can see, right here, here, this Texas sage garbage was pretty much just maligning the side of the house there. And yes, they have beautiful flowers. They have like these beautiful purple flowers, and they do bring in the honeybees, but they're so impossible to work around. And the biggest problem is this right here, right? These roots, because they get all entangled and spread, and then whenever the roots come to the surface, well, now you have a new Texas sage you have to deal with. And so the only way to really get them out is to dig them up. And so that's what we've been working. We got in here, we dug up, I think the vast majority of them are gone. So I think it's to a point right now that if I do have another one pop up, it's going to be so small that I'll be able to just yank it out and get rid of it. So, and again, ideally here, what my plan is that, we are going to fence this whole area in, but what I want to do is along this fence line here, we're going to put in like 4 or 6 blackberry bushes. So we're going to have blackberries along here, and then kind of like from here over, we're going to put in some rows for our root vegetables. So in here we'll be able to grow because it's kind of like, it's just perfect because it's like an already built raised bed on the side. So as you can see, because we have this, we just have this concrete raised bed here. So it's already built for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this, and we're going to essentially right here, we're going to put in some blackberries right here. So we have our fruit right here, and then we're going to give it a little bit of a birth. I may put in like a brick, brick or a fake fence in there or something. And then over in this area here, we're going to do like patches of root vegetables. So, and today we might actually get them in the ground. If I get the ground, tilled up enough and get rid of all the weeds and the rocks enough. But basically what I got planned for that area there is we got some carrots. And we want to get these in early because, it gets hot here fast and they'll bolt. So we got some turnips. We have some parsnips. We have some beets. And we have some radishes. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to do like 5 rows or if I'm going to do like 5 sections. So, what's just, 5 rows, just put them in 5 rows, maybe, 2 inches apart, and do 5 rows this way. I may do that. I may do 5 rows this way. But of course, the beets and the turnips require a little bit more soil to grow. Or I might just chunk this out into 5 sections and just put, carrots, radishes, parsnips, beets, and what was the other one? Turnips, yeah. Turnips, beets, radishes, parsnips, and carrots, and just divide them up that way. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the blackberries in this year or next. I get them in this year. Hopefully towards the end of the month, beginning of March at the latest, I'll go get those blackberry bushes and get those put in on the side so we can get that going there. So, but this has been it's been a little bit of work. Getting those roots up was pretty crazy because a lot of times it's not just a single root. They were like almost like tied together like one of those crazy puzzles with like the steel bars. So, and then of course over here, not much new going on over. We do have all of our dirt in here, so I left room to put in some wood chip and mulch, so that way we can protect the roots throughout the hottest part of the summers. And then we still have to get our solar watering system and our bucket set up, but again, a little bit of time for that. We got Sadly, I don't have my gutter system in yet because we did have a pretty good monsoon, and we had a pretty good monsoon, and then we had some snow, and so then all the snow, you know, melted off the roof too, and so this year I'm definitely get my gutter system put in so that I can get my my rain harvesting, my rain collection buckets out, because again, this is Texas, and you would think it would be the, you know, you think that they, you know, they'd be like, yeah, no, don't bother with it, because, you know, we are in the desert, but they actually encourage us to do it. So I'm definitely going to do that. Going to get those rainwater collection system up in place. And even if it doesn't help, you know, year long, when we do get those monsoons hit, I'll be able to collect, I mean, to be honest, I'll probably be able to collect quite a few, you know, 50, 60 gallons of water easily with the gutters that just hit the roof, because we have a pretty good sized roof. It has a slight angle, so it runs off pretty nicely. And then I just put in the rain collection. I want to put one right here. I want to put a bucket right there, and then basically off this corner here, just run it straight down into that bucket there. I can hook the solar rainwater system off of that bucket, off of that bucket by itself. And so then, when it's not raining, I can fill up the bucket from this. No matter what, that bucket will be kind of like the central core of the solar watering system that we have, which I do plan on getting a few more of those, because I think that's, especially in the desert, it's such a smarter way to, it's really a much smarter way to water, because then you're not like, the water's not evaporating on you because it's not on the surface, because it gets so hot that, you know, you water and it's already evaporating and it doesn't get to like really soak into the water like it needs to. But with this system, it'll water directly the roots. So the roots are directly getting the water. So you're reducing evaporation before it gets to the plants. And it should help keep your plants a lot healthier. And the fact that it, if you have it in a good enough system, something similar to this, right? It's dark, right? So the light's not going to penetrate it, you know, just this black garbage can. And then what I plan on doing is just drilling a hole in here. Drilling a hole in the top and putting the hose through the hole. If I have that hose through the hole, I'm going to use like some silicone sealant and seal it up so that mosquitoes and crap can't get into it. And then when you need to fill it, you know, you just lift the bucket up and you put it in, right? So now if I had the rainwater collection system, then basically what, you know, I'll have another side where it goes in or something, because you definitely don't want mosquitoes. So we've had some bad cases of the different viruses that they carry down here in El Paso. And I mean, it's not like a, you know, like a huge epidemic or anything, but we do have those cases of like the West Nile and shit. So definitely do not want any mosquitoes, you know, darkening our doorstep. So that's one thing that we're definitely going to do. And then but I'm gonna get the rainwater collection system going, and even if I use that system for like the offline portion of it, where, you know, because I may have more than one bucket set up, but either way, you know, I plan on doing that where it's like it's sealed up and there's an alarm that goes off. So as I'm checking my garden every day, if it needs water, the alarm will sound and I'll be able to fill it up. So it's a pretty good system if it works. Again, I'll get it set up and we'll do a review of that, because again, I got it off Amazon. I plan on getting a couple more. I'll give it a decent try though, but I'm pretty sure that it should work just fine. So, and then of course, the tree project, still working on that. And then of course I have to get rid of all that rubber. So, but that's where we're at this week with the garden. Definitely making steps, definitely making strides. I mean, you know, it is, what I say, it's February 5th, right? So it's the 5th of February. So 5 days into February. Ideally, I need to have all my crops in the ground by like the end of February, right? The end of February, no more than like the first like 2 or 3 days of March, right? Because the frost, there's going to be no chance of frost. Well, there's going to be, I mean, I don't ever want to say no chance, but there's going to be such a small chance of frost that I think it's going to be pretty safe. And then we get that nice long growing season, because if I get these plants going early enough, we should be getting at least 2 harvests out of most of them. Now the root vegetables, I mean, pretty much not, because it's too hot. But we get an early batch, and then we can get a much later batch. So we can plant them again at like the end of September, and then by the time November hits, when it starts to kind of really get cold, then because we still had tomatoes and peppers growing up until January. So, and then we did finally get a frost and it killed them off. But so I think that's gonna be the best way to go about this route. We're gonna try to get 2 harvests of the root vegetables, and then later on in the year we'll probably try some kale. Again, I got the Swiss chard planted already. Again, it's frost tolerant, drought tolerant, so it's a pretty good vegetable for this environment. So, and we already got those in the buckets. They haven't sprouted yet, but that's okay. I didn't want them to sprout yet, but they're already ready to go. And once all that stuff starts to sprout, we're going to be good to go. So, and it should start sprouting very soon. So, and then of course, probably 2 weeks from now, we'll get the corn, the sunflowers, and the beans into the soil. So that's the plan for that, as well as the squash. Again, we are going to be doing 2 types of summer and probably 2 types of winter. Definitely spaghetti squash, zucchini, and scallop squash. Definitely those 3 are going. I may just do those 3 and see how well they go, but I'm gonna do a few plants of each. But that's gonna give us 2 summer and 1 winter squash. Again, my family loves the spaghetti squash. If you haven't tried it, you should. If you have a family that's like resistant to eating that type of stuff, try the spaghetti squash, because you bake it up, you string it out, you add your favorite pasta sauce, and you're good to go. It's a low carbohydrate way. If you're worried about carbs, it's a low carbohydrate way to get that type of food in, and plays with your mind a little bit, because it really does kind of taste like. You can tell that it's not pasta, but it kind of plays with your mind enough that it is. So we're definitely growing that. I love scallop potatoes. I remember Patty Pan from when I was a child. My mom used to had a delicious recipe. I hope I have it in one of these books that she gave me. But I love the Patty Pan squash, and of course zucchini is just good in everything. So that's the plan. We're gonna get some cucumbers going. We're gonna be doing that vertically, of course, because I don't want them to. I want them to grow vertically. That way, we have a good use of space. Plan on getting some grapes. Maybe not this year, but next at the very latest. I plan on putting grapes in over at that chain link fence. We're going to let them use that chain link fence to just, vine up and grow, and pretty much form a natural privacy screen using the grapes, and plus we get something to eat out of it. So I think that even though we don't have a huge place, I think that I can make it where this place is sufficient enough that we can actually, once the trees and like the blackberries and the grapes get established, then I think that, because that'll provide shade under the trees, which is going to allow us, that opportunity to grow additional food. In fact, what I'm going to try right here, this one's empty, but what I'm going to try to do right here is, I'm going to do, to keep the ground pretty much, free of clutter and everything. I'm going to get that artificial turf down here. But what I'm thinking about doing is trying to what I want to do is I want to hang strawberries underneath the sunshade. I think this one's 70. I might even get a 90 so that it's even a little bit more shady. And then, so that way, because I think that I can get the shade here. In fact, I got a kit that I'm trying right now. We're gonna get some strawberries going this year. We'll see if they work. But if I can get them growing underneath the shade here, and they're hanging, then I think that that's going to be a good option, because then when the frosty season comes up, then I may just kind of prune them back a little bit, take them indoors so they don't freeze, because if they're hanging pots, then I can just move the pots in, and so and that way we can get those. Of course, what's going to happen is, what will happen is, they're going to grow over the top of they're going to grow over the pot. They're going to vine down to the ground, and they're going to start spreading on the ground as well. And then, of course, they may just keep coming back, because I know that when I was growing up, I think we just planted our strawberry patch once. I don't think, because I'm pretty sure that every year it just got bigger. we didn't like replant it. It just got bigger. And so I'm pretty sure that they'll just keep coming back. And, you know, if they freeze back, they freeze back. But, you know, they just grow back. And so my main concern here is that the sun and the lack of moisture is what's going to do the strawberries in here in El Paso. But yeah, that's it for the update. Hope you liked it. Let me know what you think. I know some of you watch this video and have gardens like this, and hey, if you got any good tips for me, let me know, because I can always use some help here, especially in the desert. So, and if you've gardened in the desert and you're watching this, please leave me some tips, because, you know, that way we can you know, we can all get better, and we can all start growing gardens and being more responsible for ourselves. And that way, you know, the people that can't or won't, then hey, you know, we're still eating. So, but you know, then they can go to the markets. But when if those markets collapse, then we gotta have a backup plan, people. We gotta have a backup plan, and I think it's coming. So we got to keep prepping, and we got to keep, you know, keeping in our head that, you know, the stores, especially here in these deserts, like these desert towns like this, you know, if the supply chains crash, you know, if we don't get trucks in after 3 days, the shelves are going to be pretty bare. And so if you're not taking steps right now, then you're going to be in one of those positions where, you know, you ain't got no food. So we gotta start thinking about ourselves as far as how we can. I don't want to say we need to start thinking about ourselves as a bad thing. We need to start thinking about what we can do to help ourselves so that we can help our communities. So, and I think that if everybody grew their own garden, you know, even if it's just small stuff, you know, have a few tomato plants, you know, just, you know, some if you like jalapenos, have some jalapeno plants, you know, just something small that you can do for yourself, that, you know, and then that way it's like you're just, you know, you're helping, you know, because the supermarkets are still going to sell the food, you know, you're still going to buy it. But if you have that fresh stuff, then you're not buying it as often. And so, and if they're ever out, you're not. So, and another thing, you know, hey, if you're growing tomatoes and your neighbors are growing peppers, well, hey, you know, now, you know, hey, if you're good with your neighbors, then now you both have tomatoes and peppers. So, just something to think about. And in these upcoming days that I think we're gonna get hit hard here. You know, I don't feel that. I feel that, especially with today's education system, you know, people don't think about the Great Depression that much anymore. And that was big. And that was almost 100 years ago. And in my opinion, just my opinion, but I think that that's probably the most realistic SHTF scenario that we're going to have to face, is that, you know, there is a depression, stock market crashes, money's gone, jobs are going to be hard to find, and it's going to get bad. And I think that's, and then I think that the government, and it doesn't matter which government, it doesn't matter who's in power at the time, but the government's going to try to sweep in to be our saviors. And to be honest, that's the last thing that you want, because once you become dependent on the government, then you can't stop being dependent on the government. So at some point in time, you have to be able to stand on your own feet and provide for yourself. So, and that's where I'm headed right now. So, not only that, I found a good place to fish this year. So, well, hopefully, maybe not good, but I found a place to fish. So, I've been doing a little bit of research. It's not too far away, maybe like 15 minutes. So, we're gonna get some fishing done this year too. So, you know, go out there, you know, once a month, twice a month, and catch some fish, and then, you know, put those in the freezer too. So that way, you know, we got food. But yeah, until next time, guys. Hey, if it's your first time on the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. But if not, hey, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave me a comment, anything. But, you know, every little thing helps. You know, again, as I've said, whether you subscribe, whether you like or anything, I'm still going to keep making these videos because I like doing this. I think it's, you know, it's something that I kind of do for myself more than anything else. You know, sometimes I get my thoughts out, and I have a lot of fun doing this channel. So I got another channel going on, El Paso Food and Fun. Starting in March, I'm going to be doing, like, you know, because I'm not all doom and gloom. I'm not all, oh, you got to prep. But, you know, yeah, El Paso Food and Fun. It's gonna be my other channel, and you know, I'm gonna be opening up sports cards every day. You know, just for the hell of it. So it's just something fun to do. Because you know, as a kid, I grew up collecting sports cards, and now it's not the same anymore because now everything is designed for monetary gain, and so like even like hobbies like that, they're just not the same for kids anymore. You know, cards, comic books, they've changed into something different where now they're more designed for adults and not for the children anymore. So, all right, till next time, keep prepping.